California, and welcome to this week's edition of Your Financial Compass, the show that's dedicated to helping you successfully navigate to and through your retirement. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and joining me in the studio are two members from Bulman Wealth Group. We have Chris Bulman, he is the founder and a financial advisor, and Scott Vlahon, financial advisor. Chris, Scott, it's always a good time to be with you. How are you?
Fantastic. He's laughing because I waved.
Oh, I was like, what happened? What did I miss?
I'm Chris. He just wanted the viewers to know.
So I wanted to.
I think there's like a name key, like, oh, that guy.
He
wasn't
with the
sure.
larger head, bigger brain.
Gosh. If you are new to us, we like to have a lot of fun on the show while still tackling complex financial concepts that can help make your life easier, and today is no exception. Am I right?
Yeah.
Nothing's more fun than acronyms, right?
Acronyms are great. It's funny because we do goof around a lot on this show. We have fun. But it's really because Scott and I never see each other at the office. We're
You're
both
so busy.
We're in appointments all day, every day, planning, meeting. And so when we do this show, we actually get to hang out.
And I'm always knocking on his door, looking in the window, and he's like, "Get out of here!" And like, let's come in and talk. And he shoos me away. I'm like, so it's his fault.
Well, welcome to the fun times.
Yeah.
And today we thought we would do a show that really went through several of what can often be confusing financial acronyms, because I know when I first got into this industry, it was almost like learning a brand new language. And the reality is the majority of Americans don't have a solid financial education. This is how I became a financial educator, because we are not taught this stuff in schools. I remember being so frustrated when I was first thrust out into the real world. And I was thinking, I have a business degree. I went to a great school. Why don't they teach us any of this stuff that's so important to our success as adults, adulting, right?
Yeah.
But part of that comes with the financial space and it being very confusing with all these different acronyms. And in fact, between Investopedia and the Financial Dictionary, there are over 1,800 financial acronyms. Now, don't worry, don't change the channel. We're not going to get to all 1,800 today, but
Just
we are
1,700.
just 1,700. We're going to
Which
cover.
is the year I was born, ironically.
Oh my gosh.
Hey.
All right, bringing it back on track. So we're going to cover some of the most key ones that you need to know to help you navigate your financial life successfully. So let's first start off with acronyms related to professionals in this space, because there are a lot of acronyms out there. So when someone's looking for and researching and trying to decide who they should work with, who should be their financial advisor, what are some of those acronyms that folks need to pay attention to?
OLD, you want somebody with gray hair.
Yeah.
You want someone with gray hair. Somebody who's been through it. No, we start kind of at a macro level with the SEC and FINRA. We hear those terms on the news a lot. SEC is coming down on someone, or FINRA. So those are the regulating authorities. FINRA stands for Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, mouthful, and it's appointed by the SEC, which is a different one. Scott's going to talk about SEC, but SEC oversees broker-dealer regulations, but FINRA still holds the SEC still holds the ultimate regulatory authority. There's a lot of big words.
I'm already bored. Let's move on.
We're going to move past these quickly. We just want you to know we are regulated intensely. Everything from the stock trades we make in our own kids' accounts, it's all watched and managed and by these regulating authorities. And there's a big reason for these regulations, as you I'm sure know, going back all the way to the 30s when people were doing things illegally. And so every few years they have new agencies, they consolidate, they add more rules, and it just keeps growing and growing. We have to abide by all those rules.
Right. So FINRA oversees the SEC, which is the Southeastern Conference. It's a sports conference. Florida, Georgia, LSU. Yeah. So other than that, that's actually the wrong one. It's the Securities and Exchange Commission. They're actually kind of, the big brother to FINRA. As Chris said, it was created in 1934, and it's just kind of a watchdog. The ultimate goal is to protect investors, which, for the viewers at home, so that's a good thing. They're overseeing us, a lot of extra paperwork for us, which is a pain, but is good. So they're just trying to this stuff that's maybe new funds or new stocks that are trying to hit the market, make sure we're licensed and properly do what we do. So it's just, at the end of the day, they're trying to have the rules, enforce the rules, and make sure that people are staying in alignment, and ultimately protect the investor.
Absolutely. Well, you mentioned licensing, and when I first got into the industry a decade ago, I ended up having to pass 5 different licensing exams within the first 10 months. Not a season of life that I would like to repeat, but some of those designations filed under the SEC, some filed under FINRA. So talk about some of these individual designations, and then I'd love to hear which ones you all hold too, because I think that's really important to know your backgrounds and where you're coming from.
Yeah, so I mean, we are a registered investment advisor at Bulman Wealth Group, BWG. There's another
acronym for you.
BWG, we're Bulman Wealth Group, and we're a registered investment advisor. Registered investment advisors are firms like ours that work with our clients for a fee, fee-based. It's interesting, you go back 20, 30 years and nobody wanted to pay fees,
right.
But it was all commission-based.
Yes.
Now, one of the first questions everyone asks is, you're fee-based, right? Which is funny to me, but that's the way.
But explain the difference, why that is.
So it's important because if you go somewhere and you purchase a mutual fund, let's say, and it's 5% commission, that advisor gets paid right up front. And they really don't have time to meet with you almost ever again because they don't get paid much ever again. It's maybe a 0.25 trail, they call it, which is an annual fee that you can earn, but 70-80% of that goes to the firm.
Right.
And so really they always have to be going out and finding new business to charge a new commission to. And that's the way the kind of the business was in the past versus a fee-based advisor, ironically, you're going to pay a fee. We have a fiduciary standard. They should have an acronym for that or abbreviation.
Fiduciary, right? Yeah.
There's 1,800.
Matter of fact, abbreviation.
I'm sure there is one.
Right.
You ever wonder why abbreviation is such a long word?
Right.
But I digress.
I didn't until now.
Why don't they abbreviate that?
Deep thoughts by Kristen Scott.
Yes, Louise. So as a fee-based advisor, though, we don't make that big commission up front. So we don't want to lose our clients. We need you to work with us, and we need to service you, and we have to go above and beyond to serve our clients because we never made that 5-6% commission up front on the mutual fund. So we need to make sure that we're treating all of our clients well, and that's the fiduciary standard, is to do the right thing, always put the client's interest above our own, and to serve our clients, and that's where we play.
So if you guys aren't on the edge of your seat, wait till this. So Bulman Wealth Group is a registered investment advisor, RAA. And the advisors under that, Chris, me, other advisors in our firm, we are IARs, Investment Advisor Representatives. So a single RIA, think of it, entity, can have several IARs under it. And as Chris referenced, being an IAR allows us to be a fiduciary and all the fun stuff that he referenced. So it's very confusing, it's very mind-boggling. And sometimes we joke, this industry is we're dorks, let's be honest. Dorks work in this business, and dorks love their acronyms. But at the same time, it can be intimidating. People hear, and we hear all the time, my advisor's talking above, he's not talking to me. We can remove all of that and talk to you. I always hear my mom's voice, Scotty, tell me what it is. I don't care about all the fluffy stuff. Skip all the jargon. If that is an area where you feel confused, you're not getting your questions answered from your current advisor, or you don't understand what they're saying, that's one of the things that is important, is to share this information in a way that's understandable. So if this is you, I would say call the number, schedule your complimentary financial compass review, and we'll talk. And we won't throw out a million acronyms, and see if we can teach you something.
Absolutely. Well, and to your point, real quick, I just want to touch on what you were saying, Chris, about that commission up front. You're paying that before you ever know how that fund is going to do and how it's going to perform. And what is always so sad is when people find out, oh, I'm losing money, but then you're still paying fees on top of that internally that you may have no idea.
Right.
So this is why it's so important to move to that fee-based versus commission-based. Well, gosh, we have a lot more to cover, but again, as Scott just so eloquently said, we encourage you to pick up the phone, call that number for your very own complimentary financial compass review. It is no cost, no charge, no obligation, simply an invitation to have a conversation to see how Chris and Scott and the team at Bulman Wealth Group can help and serve you. All you have to do is pick up the phone and call 888-970-4685. You're also welcome to take out your smartphone. You can simply scan that QR code down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. That will take you over to a landing page, ask you a few short, simple questions, and then a member of the team from Bulman Wealth Group will reach out and connect with you to schedule your time to come in and receive your complimentary review that way as well. More on today's show when we come back.
As a good saver, you've been putting away money during your working years. Studies find that the biggest fear of retirees is running out of money. Market volatility isn't just the downward movement of stock prices, it's the size and frequency of change. The more dramatic the ups and downs, the higher the volatility. This can put savers who are newly retired or a few years away from being retired at greater risk. Today's generation of retirees is not receiving traditional pensions as our parents or grandparents did. Instead, we have retirement accounts such as 401ks or 403bs. These accounts typically expose your money to market risk. The last thing you want right before retirement is to lose a portion of the money you need for income. But how do you turn these accounts into a retirement income? Is it safe to keep all your retirement money sitting in the stock market? The last thing you want is to lose a portion of the money you need for income due to market loss. By working with a financial professional, you can learn how to turn a portion of your savings into an income stream for life and income for the life of your spouse if you're married. We all have moments in our lives when we wish we had taken action sooner. Don't let procrastination reign on your retirement parade. Act now before it's too late. Please call our office to set up your no-cost, no-obligation retirement income review today.
Welcome back, California. You're watching Your Financial Compass, brought to you by the team of Bulman Wealth Group. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and here in the studio with me, we have Chris Bulman and Scott Vlahon, and a very fun conversation, as we always have each and every week. You guys are hilarious. We like to put the fun in finance, right? Yeah. And so today, we are talking about common financial acronyms, because the reality is it can be like learning a new language. And so we have some more to unpack. Of course, as we said at the top of the show, there's over 1,800. Of course, we're not going to get to all 1,800 today, but we're going to give you some of the key ones and what you need to be aware of. So what's next on the list?
We'll just kind of tie up from the last time we were talking about RIAs and IARs. Mm-hmm. And then if you're working with one of those firms, a big box firm that is charging commissions for stocks or mutual funds or things like that, that's working through what's called a BD, which is a broker-dealer, which is managed by FINRA, and then also FINRA oversees them. And then the advisors that work there are what's called an RR, which is a registered representative. Mm-hmm. So if you have someone who's a registered representative of a BD, that's not the same as an IAR of an RIA.
Right. Yep. And that's an important distinction.
Well
said.
Should I take that from the top?
We need a flow chart, right?
Yes. Okay.
Yes. All right. Well, moving on, what are some of the key financial acronyms that folks need to be aware of as investors? Because that can really trip you up too when you're looking on at how to invest your money and wanting to make sure you're doing the right things with it.
Yeah. The one that's really popular in our demographic, we manage probably 75-80%, if not more, of our clients are retired or pre-retirees getting ready to retire, wondering how they build a plan. So RMD becomes a big topic, and that's required minimum distribution. And everyone always says it wrong, put the letters in the wrong order, but it's RMD, required minimum distribution. And there are IRS regulations around that on when you have to take those, right?
Right.
And so essentially, it's money that you've put away tax deferred in your qualified plans, whether it be a 401k or an IRA, things like that. You've been able to get this tax deferral all these years, and now the government wants their money.
Right.
So they're saying they've been putting it off. Now they make you take it, and a lot of our clients, some of our clients need that income anyway, but a lot don't. So now you've got this big nest egg, maybe a big IRA, even if you have pensions and other income streams, rentals, you still have to take that income once you hit a certain age. And the age was 70 and a half, then it went to 72, then I think it was 73 for about a minute, and then age 74, and maybe it will keep changing. But once you reach that age, there's certain rules that says, tell you exactly how much you have to take, and there's a divisor chart that you can look at, which is the RMD table, and you can look at that online, you can do the divisor, and you can find out exactly how much you have to take annually.
Right. When we did a whole show on that a few weeks back, and I mean, there's so much that goes into that calculation alone. Very important.
And if you don't take it, it's typically a 50% penalty on what you're supposed to have taken.
It was 50, and they changed it to 25, right? 25% this year.
Break that rule then.
But it's like, oh wow, thank you, IRS, right?
Yes, it depends on when this show airs, because things keep changing.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
That's true. That's why you have to stay abreast of all the rules, right? Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, what's up next on your list?
Well, you were going to ask what an FRA was, and I was going to be funny and say it's an abbreviation for France, but
Right.
you missed it, darn it. So never mind. So FRA, all jokes aside, this deals with Social Security. It's called full retirement age. So some of you might already be there, but what it means, if you were born prior to 1960, then your full retirement age for Social Security is 66 and some number of months. And when you reach full retirement age, it means when you're getting 100% of your Social Security value. Because if you start earlier than that, you're going to get a smaller percentage of that. So FRA is generally when, it's kind of, you get 100%. If you keep waiting from there, it increases each year. That's a whole nother topic. But prior to 1960, your full retirement age is 66 and some months. If you're born 1960 or later, your full retirement age is 67. And we get questions all the time, when should we take it? And
Right.
What's the most optimal thing? Obviously, we never know when someone's going to die, so we'll never
Right.
get
If
the
we
exact
knew that,
answer.
it would be very easy to decide.
We would call
that,
Miss
right?
Cleo and get the answer from her, if you guys remember her. But that is full retirement age. 100% of the value that you're going to get from your Social Security benefit.
Absolutely. Well, real quick, I know you mentioned RMDs, and if people don't need that money, that can present an issue. And I've known, and this has happened in my own family, my father, what he does with the RMDs is he makes qualified charitable distributions known as QCDs. There's another acronym for you there. But what that does is it allows him to move the money directly from his IRA that would have to be normally taken out as an RMD, instead move it to the charity. And it's a win-win, because then he gets that, he doesn't have to pay taxes on that money, and the charity gets the full amount. So just another acronym to throw in there for you, QCDs, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we can set you up with a check book out of your IRA account. So
That's not an acronym, though.
it was,
It's an emoji, right?
yes, emojis
Yeah.
are the new thing. Anyway, so we do have clients that do that, and so they have certain philanthropies or areas that they want to donate money,
Right.
and they just write checks directly out of their IRA accounts, and it counts towards that RMD, and they're not taxed on it.
Right, absolutely. So I know that a lot of folks watching might be hearing some new things today for the first time. So what would you say to someone that's going, wow, I didn't realize this, or I didn't realize I could use this strategy, but maybe I need to get a second opinion? What would you say?
TBD.
Nope.
Yeah. To the break, guys. So our CTA, which is called a call to action, would be first off, you don't have to know them all. There's 1,800. I'm not sure we know every single one of them. I'm at up to 1,799, but you don't have to know them all. That's why one of the reasons why you choose to work with an advisor, to help them, help you navigate these things. So if these acronyms pop up, or you're just too afraid to ask what they mean, schedule or call the number below. We can schedule time to talk further. Obviously, find out more about your situation, not just how these acronyms affect you, but also do a complimentary financial compass review. We'll take a look at your current portfolio, get an assessment of what your current risk setup is, and then start to look at, what are your goals? What are the things you're looking forward to in life? What are the things that keep you up at night afraid? And how can we begin to address those issues? So that it all starts, though, with a conversation. So if you can call that number below, we can begin to have that.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Scott, Chris, thank you so much. And yes, I do laugh a lot with these two, but they both have hearts of gold, and their desire is to help and serve you any way that they can. So we encourage you, take advantage of this opportunity. Call that number on the bottom of your screen to get your very own complimentary financial compass review. Simply call 888-970-4685, or again, you're welcome to scan that QR code in the bottom right-hand corner, and that will get you connected as well. More on today's show right after this.
Successful retirement to me is someone who doesn't have to worry about where their next paycheck's going to come from, where the income's going to come from. Are they going to run out of income? Are they going to run out of money? Are they going to meet their financial goals with respect to maybe they want to leave money to their children? Maybe they want to leave money to a philanthropy or a university. Solving all those issues is what a secure retirement looks like.
Being able to wake up and know the day is an open slate and not having to worry about things. Or say someone's going on a trip with family, they're going to the beach, and if the headline says, the market's down again or something, they're not concerned. Bulman Wealth has my back here. We've got a plan in place. My portfolio is set up in a way that concern is not there. The plan and finances should not be the concern once they get to that stage of working with us and entering into retirement.
Welcome back to Your Financial Compass. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, here with Chris Bulman and Scott Vlahon from Bulman Wealth Group. And a fun conversation we were having this week about important financial acronyms, ones that you need to know to make sure that you're on track to reach your financial goals. And of course, another area of our financial lives where there's tons of acronyms comes down to our accounts, what type of accounts we have. And this is important because you have to know when you are entering and nearing retirement a withdrawal strategy, meaning which accounts are you going to withdraw income for yourself from when, right?
Yeah.
But again, if you don't understand what accounts you have and what they mean, that can be a little bit more challenging. So let's talk about some of these accounts and those acronyms.
Why don't I take a few? Here's one. We're going off script. So IRA, it's individual retirement account. The best way I describe this to folks is whenever you're working at an employer, you generally have a 400 number account, 401k, 403b, 457. If it's moved away from that employer into your own account, it becomes an IRA, individual retirement account. In IRA, there can be traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs, which we've done shows on, but Chris can talk about Roth IRAs. That's an IRA in a nutshell, LOL.
So Roth.
We're doing our best to make this acronym funny, fun.
Yes. So Chris, take it away with Roth.
Yeah. So a Roth IRA is a little bit different than a traditional IRA in just the fact that it's after-tax money that grows tax-free for the rest of your life until you take it out. And there's a few other benefits in there too. You don't have to take necessarily RMDs. It grows tax-free. You can take it out tax-free. You can take it out before you're 59 and a half if you meet other certain guidelines, or you can take part of it out. And there's a lot of different things to it. But a Roth, and we talked about this on another show, but a Roth versus a traditional IRA, the difference is, imagine, we're talking California, so there's a lot of fields in orchards. So imagine you wanted to start an apple orchard, and the truck pulls up with all of this seed, and you have all this land, and you have the option, do you want to pay tax on the seed, right? And then you never pay tax again. You're going to harvest apples for the next 60 years, never pay tax on any of the apple sales.
Right.
That would be the same as a Roth. You're paying tax on the seed. A traditional IRA is you say, no, I don't want to pay any tax on the seed, but I'll pay on the harvest. So you defer the taxes on the seed, but now you pay every single year as you sell apples. You have to pay tax on the harvest. That's kind of the probably the best way I can describe traditional. That was good, right?
It was, and I use it, and every time people will say, well, I don't know the difference, I say, I'm going to give you this example. I do a better version of what he just did. And then I say, which one do you like better? And they say, I like the one where I pay the taxes now and I get to keep the orchard. I say, that's a Roth. And generally it sinks in, oh gosh, because none of us like to pay taxes.
Right.
California charges a lot of them. So what are some ways? That's one of the biggest ways that we can address
and another one is a 201k. That's what happened to your 401k in 2008.
Oh gosh. Oh man.
So
it happened to a lot of people though, sadly.
Yes, it did. Another one is TOD. TOD is a transfer on death account. So that's a designation that you can do when you're opening a brokerage account, especially if you don't have a trust. Even if you do, a TOD account is a way that when you pass on, those assets will go directly to your beneficiary without having to go through probate. There are some other things you want to think about, though. You'll want to talk to your trust attorney to make sure that you shouldn't just set it up in the trust, especially if there's going to be collectors coming after any money, things like that. Trust is another one. That's not an acronym. I'm not sure why that's on here. TRUST.
I'm sure we could make one quick, but
a trust in California, if you own a house at all or almost any assets, you should have a trust. And for other reasons too, for the powers of attorney, so that you can dictate what you want to have happen while you're still alive, even if you're not able to communicate. And then a final one, I mean, there's so many different types of IRAs, but SEP is another one, which is
SEP.
SEP. That's a type of employee pension plan that some people use. But there's a whole chart on those plans with a lot of other acronyms, and it just gets confusing if we get into it. But if you're a business owner and you want to know what type of plan you should use, we are experts on those charts and connect.
Right, because if you're in business for yourself, you can essentially kind of fund your own retirement that way, right?
Yes.
Doing those. So, Well, what about, I know a couple more acronyms we're going to get into real quick here at the end of the show, AUM.
AUM is kind of almost a term for us. When I say us, Chris and I are the insiders, being the advisors.
Industry, yeah.
The industry.
Right.
Very rarely is this conversation with folks, but it just means assets under management. It means the amount of money we're managing, maybe directly in the market. So, as Chris referenced earlier, if we're charging a fee for that ongoing, we're building up a large, an amount of AUM, but it's not really something that we conversate about.
I think the thing you need to know about AUM probably is if someone has under $100 million under management, they're registered with the state. And then once you breach that and you go over $100 million, you're required to register with the SEC.
Right.
And so that's one. We had one person call in and say, "We saw that you got terminated by the state, and we don't trust you anymore." It's like,
interesting.
That was a long time ago. It was like, well, no, that's a good thing. We
Right.
grew out of the state.
We grew out of the state. Yeah,
So,
exactly.
but that's important to understand if you're going to look things up like that.
Sure.
The other thing, if you look up on Broker Check, you can look if you're dealing with an RR with a BD. You can look on Broker Check to find out the whole history. And if you see red dots and red marks, that's a bad thing. That's a ding on something, and you can actually look in to see what that person did.
Right.
If it was illegal, unethical, or if it was netted out and it wasn't actually bad. But you can kind of see the history. Also, you can see the history of where that advisor's been maybe and where they were doing business, and that's on brokercheck.com.
Brokercheck.com. Yes, that's a great resource to be able to research if you're considering reaching out, connecting. We're on there, right?
Yeah.
For sure, and that's that transparency that's really helpful. All right, one last one, FIA.
FIA, that is a fixed index annuity. So there's a lot of types of annuities, but this one specifically is one that we use when appropriate. Really, the best way to explain it is if John or Jane Doe has money in an account, it's the kind of account where if the market is down, you don't lose anything. The trade-off is you don't earn everything when the market's up. So it's a way almost to take a portion of a portfolio and make sure, hey, this side's locked up, it's not gonna lose anything. There's always a trade-off, there's always a pro and con. There's cons to this, but a lot of pros, especially when the market's volatile. But at the end of the day, an FIA is a fixed index annuity. That's it, kind of in a 45-second explanation.
Certainly seen those sales spike in 2023 as a result of what happened in the stock market in 2022.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's also MYGA, which is multi-year guaranteed annuity. There's so many. Again, we barely scratched the surface.
There's also a QUIZ, because we're going to quiz people on this. So, yeah.
No,
we're going to finish the show ASAP.
Yes.
Well,
back to you, Kristen.
Yeah, back to you. We're
Chris,
done. Cut the mics.
Scott, we so appreciate you being here. I know that again, we have so much fun on this show, but really they love doing life with their clients. And if you are looking for a partner to help you navigate through the complexities, no matter what financial questions you might have, it might be new to you, but the good thing is it's not new to Chris and Scott and the team of Bulman Wealth, and they are here to help and serve you. Again, that number to call for your complimentary financial review, 888-970-4685. We love you, California. We look forward to being back with you next week.